Major new step for healthcare reform in Indiana. More Hoosiers could be covered. But is it the right step? We're talking with the state's director of Medicaid. And our political insiders debate. Plus, Congressman Andre Carson weighs in on Indiana's healthcare status. And there's a new way to report an emergency. How you can contact 911 without calling.
From RTD6, the Indy Channel, this is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
It's called HIP 2.0. More uninsured Hoosiers could gain access to health care under Governor Mike Pence's new proposal to expand the Healthy Indiana Plan. On Thursday, the governor revealed his proposal before a packed auditorium at Indiana University Health Methodist Hospital. It is the state's answer to Medicaid expansion. Before it can be implemented, the state must get approval from the federal government. Negotiations are underway, but the governor is confident.
We're not taking a theory to Washington, D.C. We're really taking a proven plan that's had real results in Indiana and saying we want to build on that success.
The Democrats have been skeptical of the governor's plan. Representative Ed Delaney says if the governor can truly sign up 350,000 Hoosiers to the plan, he's all for it. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services released a statement on Thursday after the governor's announcement saying, in their words, we are encouraged by Indiana and Governor Pence's commitment to helping cover more than of the state's uninsured population through the Healthy Indiana program, and look forward to seeing this proposal. Joining us now is the Indiana Medicaid Director, Joe Moser, who oversees the program to add more than 300,000 Hoosiers, possibly as early as next year. Mr. Moser, welcome to the program. We're also joined by Katie Hines, our State House reporter.
Well, Mr. Moser, the first question I have for you, we talk about 350,000 Hoosiers. Who is this designed for?
Sure. Well, the program will help low-income Hoosiers who are between the ages of 19 and 64, who are non-disabled, and fall into what we call the coverage gap, which is individuals who make too much to qualify for Medicaid, but too little to qualify for the subsidies on the health insurance exchanges. So we think there's about 350,000 individuals in the coverage gap, and those adults will qualify for the new Health Indiana program.
And there are incentives here to kind of get people to chip in and help pay for some of their own expenses too, correct?
Yes. One of the tenets of the Healthy Indiana Plan is that there are contributions to what we call the Power Account, which works much like an HSA in the health savings account in the private market. And so the members contribute to that health savings account with monthly contributions that range between $3 and $25 a month, depending on their income.
Mr. Moser, how is this different from the Affordable Care Act? A lot of folks are saying you're still going to get some federal dollars. You're still going to sign up a lot of people that have not had health care before. How is this different?
Well, this is very different, Rafael. This is not a traditional Medicaid expansion, but this is expanding our innovative consumer-driven model that we've had in Indiana for 7 years now. It uses the elements of consumer-driven health care to provide better benefits to the lower-income populations. It uses personal responsibility, contributions into the account, and is really a more innovative free market consumer-driven model than traditional Medicaid.
Before you can sign up one Hoosier, the federal government has to say, yeah, we like it. How confident are you that the federal government will say that the Indiana plan will hold up to their guidelines to what they believe will be good?
Well, we're cautiously optimistic that they'll approve our plan. We've been talking to them for some time now, working through some of the details of this, and they've been very receptive to the model, the approach that we've presented to them. So we're optimistic that they will approve our plan.
Are there penalties as well? I know we talk about the incentives for people contributing to that Power Account, but if they don't, are there penalties? I know potential co-pays when they go to visit the doctor.
Yes, so the new Healthy Indiana plan will have three parts to it. The first part will be what we call a HIP link, or Healthy Indiana Plan HIP link, which will provide them the opportunity to use a defined contribution to buy into their employer plan if they have one available to them. The second element is for individuals who are between the income levels between 0 and 138% of poverty. They'll all qualify for what we call the HIP Plus plan, which provides better benefits. And for those that pay into their Power Account below poverty, they will have access to that plan plan for those above poverty. They will only have access to that plan, and if they do not make their contributions, we will lock them out of the program for 6 months. Today we lock them out for 12. For the population under 100% of poverty, if they do not make their power account contributions, they will be defaulted into the HIP Basic plan. HIP Basic plan will have less benefits, no vision and dental coverage. The HIP Plus plan will have those coverages, and there will be copays in the HIP Basic plan for individuals who do not contribute to their power account in HIP Plus.
Before you roll out this program, how much stuff is now happening behind the scenes in anticipation of a possible federal approval? Are you going to have to hire dozens, hundreds of people to sort of support this new structure so that people can understand what you just enumerated, which for some viewers may say, what did he say? That's a lot of information. How many more folks will you be adding to help you get the message out to our communities?
Sure. Well, we're doing preparations behind the scenes to get ready to roll out the new Healthy Indiana plan next year. And a large part of that will be educating the public about how this plan works. And we'll be relying on several resources in the community, certainly the health plans that provide benefits in the program, and the state as well will be providing education to the public so that they understand what their best option really is.
Mr. Moser, I hope you'll come back on the program. You'll further continue to explain this as you rolled it out.
Sure.
Mr. Moser, thank you for joining us. State House reporter Katie Hines, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We also spoke to our political insiders about this very issue. This is what they had to say. Joining us now are two of our political insiders, Democrat Kip Tu and IndyPolitics.org's editor Abdul Hakim Shabazz. We've heard the governor's plan and his health plan. Will this thing work?
Well, I think it's got a good chance of working. I think that there's a lot still to be determined. The feds have not signed off on it, but I think everyone says it's pretty similar to Michigan's plan, and the federal government approved Michigan's plan, so it's got a good shot of working. But there's some serious questions about its working. I know some experts have looked at it, and in fact, the state's own actuarials looked at a previous iteration of HIP and said that it's cost 40% more to do HIP than it does to expand Medicaid. So that's a big concern, and I'm afraid that this governor is, it's the two I's, ideology and Iowa.
Jump on in.
Okay, I'll be more than happy to. When I can get Ed Delaney, of all people, Democratic state representative, who's done nothing but complain and yell and scream about Medicaid expansion in Indiana, not doing, even he having to admit that this is a good idea. I mean, that tells me everything I need to know right then and there.
But I need to know.
No, it doesn't tell you everything.
Yes,
but he said he's going to give it a shot.
When Ed can't complain about it, then
what I need to know is HIP 2.0 really going to work? Because folks watching us want to know, okay, you're making this claim, Mr. Governor, that this is going to help more than 300,000 people. Will it?
Well, there's a chance it will. I mean, I think there's a chance it will.
Is there a chance?
There's no reason for it not to work. I mean, what are you doing? You're giving people access, to health insurance, which Kip and his friends have always talked about. They actually get a better deal than the regular HIP because they get the visual, they get the dental, and they get a prescription drug benefit. And also they get the option to say, hey, you know what, I don't like the state plan, but I have enough of premium support that I can go on my employer's plan.
Kip, is this the anti-Affordable Care Act? Is this the anti?
No, I mean the federal government is going. If they do, they'll grant a waiver, and so basically it's the governor finally capitulating and realizing the state needed the Medicaid money.
It's not the governor capitulating. Basically, what the governor said is, we will do this. We want to expand Medicaid or an alternative, but do it in a fiscally responsible way that promotes accountability and also gives some people gives the people who actually are using the system some skin in the game. So they're not doing what Kip has talked about before, which is go to the emergency room. They can actually go to a physician.
That's right. But the original statement he made about it being fiscally responsible, there are serious people who are looking at this and saying it may cost more than just expanding Medicaid, because you have higher administrative costs because people are going to have these health savings accounts. They call it something different, Power or something like that. That the state's going to have to spend money on administering. If they just expand Medicaid, they don't have all those costs.
But what is wrong with giving people? What is wrong with giving people control over their own destiny and their health care dollars?
Health care is not like buying furniture, for number one. But number two, the other point I was going to make.
It is when you have to buy it.
No, people don't make. When people are having heart attacks, they don't go, gee, I'm going to go shop for a doc. They don't.
But when people have the money that they have saved to go take care of that preventive visit, they don't go. You're absolutely right, because they have the money saved and put away.
Look, there are some parts of a health savings plan for sophisticated consumers that is not all bad, that maybe help drive down costs. But the fact of the matter is, HIP pays higher reimbursement rates than Medicaid. Why did you see all the hospitals in the state of Indiana get on board? Because the reimbursement rate under under HIP, which means money being paid to the hospitals is higher, which is another reason why Medicaid expansion is cheaper for the federal.
But the hospitals are also paying a higher assessment fee, which helps cover those costs, and the hospitals were happy to do it.
Because their reimbursement rates more than make up for it.
And what the hospitals are also saying is that by expanding this, it'll actually save the average individual who is not on Medicaid or using HIP at least $300 a year on their hospital visits, and also save money for a family of 4.
30 seconds for you to split. Is this the governor's first presidential platform issue?
I think the fake Common Core was the first, taxes were second, and this may be third. He had to do something like this because the state needed the money.
Last word.
Good government is always good politics, and we'll just leave it at that.
That's all you have to say.
That's all I have to say on the Sunday. I didn't wear a tie, so.
You can follow our political insiders on Twitter. You can watch their handles and get the latest throughout the week with Kip, Abdul, Laura, and Jennifer. Indianapolis This Week continues right after the break. While the governor's proposal to expand the Healthy Indiana plan is receiving some praise, there are those on the other side of the aisle who say this leaves a coverage gap for many Hoosiers. Joining us now is Indiana Congressman Andre Carson from the 7th District, one Hoosier leader who says that gap is too big. What is your concern, what it's called now HIP 2.0?
Well, you know, Mike Pence is a great guy. Governor Pence is a great guy. We had a great relationship in Congress. I consider him to be a friend. He says the same thing about me. But my thoughts are, we passed on this years ago. Why are we reinventing the wheel without a guarantee for the less fortunate? We have over 400,000 Hoosiers who don't have the coverage that they need, and this plan is untested. We don't know what the results will be. We should have accepted Medicaid. We should have accepted the expansion. We did not. Now we're reinventing the wheel. It's unfortunate for us.
The governor says he'll add more than 300,000 Hoosiers, maybe as early as next year, if the federal government approves the plan. And he also believes that those that are receiving the Medicaid right now will be able to receive current services. So is this not a win-win for those who do not have insurance in the near future?
We've yet to see. I hope it's a win-win, but we've yet to see. We'll see. Time will tell.
Now, some would say that the White House on this plan could say, look, we forced Indiana to expand health care, while the governor can also claim a victory by saying, you know, I did it my way. Do you not see that this is now a win-win for both?
I appreciate that our governor wants to expand coverage for Hoosiers. I appreciate his sentiment. But what I'm concerned about is that we aren't using this as leverage to posture politically. But he knows better, and I think a year from now we can have this conversation. If I'm still in office, we'll see.
Is this? Do you think this plan is the Anti-Affordable Care Act? Is this the response to that?
Oh, sure. I mean,
but is it better than?
We've yet to see. I mean, the rollout of the Affordable Care Act wasn't as...
It was rocky.
It was rocky, admittedly, but I think the scholars will be kind 5 or 10 years from now. But what I'm concerned about with HIP is that we're going to impose an undue burden on those Hoosiers who are barely scraping by anyway. Those folks who have only $5,700,000 in income and they have 4 kids. Those are what I'm concerned about.
So if it could be the Carson plan, if you could go back to the governor and say, Governor, I respect you.
Sure.
This is maybe a good step. But here's what I think I would add to this. What would you make different with this plan?
I would expand Medicaid, do what Kentucky has done, do what other governors have done, go back to the drawing board and accept the Affordable Care Act as it stands, and not try to reinvent the wheel or create some hybrid of some sort that's untested, untried, we don't know. And my suspicions are that it will cause an undue burden, maybe $25, $50 a month more than what Hoosiers would have had to pay, and that's a lot when you're on a fixed income.
And what do you make of this issue where, you know, a lot of the Republican governors have refused to expand Medicaid?
Yeah.
But in some cases, some of the governors are taking the federal dollars. This program will lean on federal dollars, so it's not as if we are saying we're not taking any federal dollars. We're using some of those dollars.
It's ACA light, right? It's ACA the remix, and as I said, it's untested. We don't know. The rocky rollout, as we spoke of earlier, was controversial, but we're hopeful. We're seeing great results. Kentucky is a testament to the progress of the Affordable Care Act. What HIP does, we still don't know. I'm lovingly critical, but I'll wait and see.
Do you think the federal government will approve this plan?
I don't know. I don't have a sense. I know that the administration has been very positive. Health and Human Services, their representatives have been very positive about this initiative, so we'll see. It looks like they may.
Congressman Andre Carson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come back anytime.
Thank you.
After the break, there's a new way to contact 911 in the event of an emergency. Now you can get a hold of responders by simply sending a text. Hear from the experts why this change is going to be a major improvement and what bugs may still need to be worked out when Indianapolis This Week continues. If you have an emergency, you can now text 911 for help in Indiana. The Indiana statewide 911 board says 75 to 80% of all 911 calls come from cell phones. This extended service comes a year after testing throughout the state. Still, there's some bugs to work out. For instance, dispatchers cannot track the location of a cell phone as easily as a landline. Plus, state leaders remind people text messages may be delayed or confusing because of that autocorrect. They say while calling is best, texting is a good option for people who may not have another choice. So far, only Verizon Wireless customers can take advantage of the extended coverage, but 911 dispatch center managers say all other providers and the remaining counties should be on board by July. Joining us now are a couple of men who helped to develop the system. Eric Hartman, the VP of Business Development for Digital Telecom, and Barry Ritter, the Executive Director of the Indiana Statewide 911 Board. When can all Hoosiers begin to text statewide?
We feel in Indiana that by January of next year, we should have all counties online for text to 911 capabilities with the 4 major carriers that are offering text.
And Eric, we just mentioned a couple of bugs. Will all the bugs be worked out by January the 1, or because it is cell phone technology, will it always be something?
Yeah, I believe it's going to be a little bit of always something. This technology is going to continue to refine over time. The location accuracy is going to get more accurate as far as routing of the emergency text and calls, and better location information as the project continues to move forward.
What about here in the capital city? Of course, Marion County is the heart of the state. How will the service work here?
Marion County has chosen to delay their rollout of text to 911 because of the concerns that you previously mentioned, as well as some other technical projects that they're working on. However, we are working with public safety officials in Marion County in an attempt to expedite this service in this area, and they have been very generous in their response with that.
Let's talk about public safety, because at the end of the day, we're all looking for ways, obviously, to communicate in an emergency, and this is just the latest way to do that. So how critical of a component is that as you were thinking about how do we make this thing work?
Well, when we think about text to 911, that is only one component of what we call next generation services. In addition to text, things that we're looking at down the road, futuristic, are video, pictures, telematics that would be useful in an emergency situation. Text to 911 was just the first tool that was rolled out as an additional option to voice.
And as we add all these new technologies, obviously we have to have trained 911 dispatchers, and they already do a fantastic job. What more training will we have to expect from these men and women who are already with headsets, looking at computers, and typing at fast speed?
Yeah, well, training is almost constant for a 911 dispatcher. That's something that always is evolving, and as there's new technologies come out, there's a lot of operational policies that the 911 directors and each 911 agency has to work through and define as they move forward.
So today, what can I expect? Can I text outside of Marion County? Where can I text 911?
That map is changing daily as we bring additional counties on, and I believe that just as we've been here today, we've seen additional counties come on board.
So what's your website so that I can see if my county's on there?
If you go to www.in911.net, there's a map there that will be updated on a nearly daily to weekly basis.
And of course, we'll have all that information on the indchannel.com in case you could not write that address as quickly as possible. Gentlemen, thank you. Please come back again and keep us up to date on this very important program.
Thank you.
We do appreciate it. It is a busy day for all the Pacers and Racers actions as we get into the heart of the month of May. We'll go over what you can expect to see right here on RTV6 coming up right after the break. It is poll day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the gates are now open. And throughout the day, drivers will qualify for positions 10 through 33. Then at 2 p.m., the focus will be on the Fast 9. And we'll find out who will start on the pole for this year's running of the Indianapolis 500. You can watch live coverage of Pole Day right here on RTV6 from 1 to 3 p.m. And it wouldn't feel right if we didn't have both racers and Pacers this weekend. Today, the Pacers square off in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat. And that coverage will pick up right after Pole Day right here on RTV6. After the game, we'll have full hour coverage of post-game coverage with a special edition of RTV6 News at 6. A full day. Go Pacers, go Racers. That's it for this edition of Indianapolis This Week. I'm Rafael Sanchez. Thank you for joining us. Have a great Sunday.